Subscribe to our channel for more surprising and heartwarming stories like this one. It was a quiet, peaceful evening at the airport, the kind where everything seemed to be running smoothly. The chatter of passengers filled the terminal, and the hum of rolling suitcases echoed through the halls. The bright lights flickered as flight attendants moved from one gate to the next, readying for the evening's flights. In the first-class cabin of an exclusive international flight, everything appeared calm. Passengers were settling into their plush seats, the flight attendants doing their routine checks. Among the passengers was none other than Keanu Reeves, the actor known for his roles in The Matrix and John Wick. Despite his fame, Keanu had always been known for his down-to-earth attitude, often avoiding the usual celebrity fuss. Tonight, however, he was about to experience something far different than the usual calm and respectful atmosphere that he was accustomed to. The flight attendants, including one in particular named Jessica, moved gracefully between the aisles, offering drinks and snacks to the first-class passengers. Jessica had been a flight attendant for over 7 years, but there was something different about tonight. There was a strange tension in her demeanor as she moved through the cabin. She had always admired Keanu from a distance, his humble nature and the way he treated others with respect. But tonight, something about him seemed to irk her. It wasn't that she didn't like him, on the contrary. She had heard all the wonderful stories about his kindness. It was just that lately, she had been feeling increasingly bitter. The pressure of her own life, personal struggles she couldn't shake off, and the way the world had been treating her had built up over time. As she passed Keanu's seat, something in her snapped. Without thinking, without even fully realizing what she was doing, she reached out and pushed him gently but forcefully away from the window. Keanu, caught off guard, looked up at her in surprise. The whole cabin fell into silence as the incident unfolded. For a moment, Jessica stood there, her hands trembling, her heart racing. She had attacked him, though it wasn't deliberate. It was more of an involuntary reaction, a desperate cry for attention, for release. She had always felt invisible, as though no one could truly see her. And now, she had done the one thing that would make everyone look. The passengers in the first-class section looked around in confusion. Some thought it was part of the service. Others weren't sure what to make of it. But then, in the middle of the awkward silence, Keanu did something unexpected. He didn't yell. He didn't demand an apology. Instead, he simply sat there for a second, his calm demeanor never faltering. Then, he smiled gently and spoke in a voice that everyone could hear. "Hey, it's okay," he said softly, his tone calm and understanding. "I'm not hurt. You don't have to worry." Jessica stood frozen in place, her face flushed with embarrassment. She hadn't meant to do anything like that. She just couldn't handle the pressure any longer. I'm so sorry," she stammered. "I didn't mean to. I just—" Keanu looked up at her, his gaze unwavering and kind. "No need to apologize. It's clear you've got a lot on your mind. We all have moments when life just gets too overwhelming." His voice was quiet, but there was a profound wisdom in it. The entire cabin was still. The passengers couldn't believe what they were hearing. Most had expected Keanu to react angrily, as anyone else might have. But instead, he was offering her understanding, something they had never witnessed before on a flight. Jessica's eyes filled with tears. She had always been so good at hiding her emotions, but tonight everything had built up to a breaking point. She had been struggling with personal issues for so long, and the weight of everything finally caused her to snap. But here, in the midst of her shame and panic, Keanu's words had an unexpected effect. They calmed her in a way she had never felt before. Keanu stood up from his seat, slowly and deliberately, and walked over to her. The other passengers watched in disbelief as he approached the woman who had just assaulted him. Keanu gently placed his hand on Jessica's shoulder, his touch warm and reassuring. "You're doing your best," he said, speaking directly to her. "You're human. And sometimes being human means that we fall short or that we break. But that's okay. What matters is how we handle it. Jessica let out a shaky breath, trying to fight back the tears that were now flowing freely. The people around them were in stunned silence, watching the extraordinary kindness of a man who could have been upset but instead chose to offer peace. "Are you okay?" Keanu asked, his voice soft but genuine. "Do you want to talk?" Jessica shook her head, overwhelmed by the kindness he was showing her. I don't know what's wrong with me," she whispered. I feel like I'm carrying so much, and I don't know how to let it go." Keanu gave her a small, understanding smile. "I know what you mean," he said quietly. "Life can feel really heavy sometimes, but you don't have to carry it alone." There was a pause before Jessica finally spoke again, her voice trembling. "I've always been afraid to show people my weakness. I guess that's why I snapped." Keanu nodded, as though he completely understood. It's okay to show weakness. It's okay to be vulnerable. We all are in some way or another. Jessica, still in shock, felt something inside her shift. In that moment, it wasn't just Keanu's kindness that was powerful. It was the realization that she wasn't invisible. She wasn't alone in her struggles. And that small moment, that brief interaction, was enough to begin healing some of the pain she had buried for so long. After a few moments of quiet, Keanu took a step back. "Take care of yourself," he said softly. "And remember, you're not defined by a single moment. You're more than that." The flight attendants around them, who had been watching the entire exchange, slowly began to step in and offer support. But the most remarkable thing was how the rest of the passengers began to react. They started offering Jessica understanding glances, supportive smiles, and words of encouragement. The rest of the flight passed with an air of peace and calm. No one seemed to focus on the earlier incident, but rather on the extraordinary kindness that Keanu had shown in such an unexpected moment. The story of what had happened spread quickly, and before long, the entire cabin was talking about it, sharing their own personal moments of struggle and how they had learned to face their challenges with kindness and understanding. As the plane touched down, the flight attendants, including Jessica, felt a sense of healing that they hadn't experienced before. Keanu's quiet, unassuming wisdom had changed everything. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more stories like this, where kindness makes a difference in the most surprising ways.